Rainbow rhythms out from under the dome, out from the park and into your home. Rainbow rhythms.
Hello to our Rainbow Rhythmers.
And good morrow, afternoon, or evening to our new viewers, followers, subscribers, and new besties.
Thank you so much for coming back and joining us at, drumroll please,
Rainbow Rhythms! The show where we look beyond the rainbow and into our community of
musical theater. I'm Robin Quintana,
And I am Emily Meadows.
your Rainbow Rhythms host.
And previously on Rainbow Rhythms.
We had the chance to speak to some of Winnipeg's future stars of tomorrow.
Because your future stars of today are, well, you're looking at them.
But enough about us.
Because on today's episode, we shine a light on BTS.
And we don't mean your favorite K-pop boy band. Today, we get to share with you some of the fantastic people and artists who help create magic on our stage.
And ensure that it runs smooth like butter.
Like a criminal undercover. Today, we give you an insider peek at what goes on behind the scenes.
More specifically, behind the scenes of our 2022 Rainbow Stage season.
We are excited to introduce our first guest of the day, the talented artist involved with Rainbow Stage's production of The Hockey Sweater.
A truly timeless Canadian story.
Hi everyone, my name is Michelle Kivas and I play Anna Carrier in The Hockey Sweater.
So throughout the process, what were some of the biggest challenges that you had, especially coming back from theater after 2 years of the pandemic?
Getting my voice up to stamina with all the singing. You suddenly go singing 6 days a week and it can be a shock. And also having my main acting partner be a 12-year-old. It was so interesting. It was the greatest challenge in the best possible way. It was a learning experience because I've never shared so many scenes with someone that young. The pureness of being a kid in this industry and the joy that he performs with, you know, it was sort of the best way, I think, for me to come back into a musical, to have him as my acting partner, because he just lifted me up in so many ways that I don't even think he realized, just his kid-like nature.
They always say how amazing it is to work with us adults and how much they learn from us, but I always tell them that that's the same for us as well as adults. They are singing, dancing, skating, acting, like doing everything all at once, and I think it's incredible, and all of their work ethics are amazing, so I have learned a lot from them.
I am joined by the lovely females of the younger part of the cast for The Hockey Sweater. This show, you are all singing, acting, dancing, and rollerblading, so quadruple threats. Yes, that's, yep. I think you all take that title on with you wherever you go now.
We have a after show ritual. It's like Team 10 comes after the show.
Because of the 10 young actors in the show, of course. And
Yeah.
and 10 feet tall.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so deep.
Perfect.
Yeah. Playing Rock Carrier, like such an iconic Canadian like kid storybook character. How did that feel to bring that character to life?
Rollerblading was a really hard part because I have no experience, so I had to learn to be in the show. I started doing musical theater classes when I was like 6, 5, around that age, and then I fell in love with it ever since.
I am the music director for The Hockey Sweater, and it's something I've been wanting to do at Rainbow for 5, 6 years, but I'm just so thrilled that it finally happened, and with like a brand new Canadian musical, no less.
You're not actually in the rainbow pit down below. 100 million moths.
I think it's maybe interesting for some people to see, actually we're playing everything.
Yeah, it's not pre-recorded. Yeah, it's all live.
Yeah, it's all live stuff.
I grew up in a very sports family, and I played hockey most of my young life, and I was a fan of the Toronto Maple Leafs, and still am. So this show has been really fun to make fun of my favorite team. They just gave me a constant reminder to just stay youthful, keep having fun, and just have a blast. And they're just so talented. I hate them so much that they're so talented.
It's the future of musical theater in Manitoba.
Yeah!
Go team!
Woo-hoo! sports. And now, a word from our sponsors.
50-50 here! 50-50 here! 50-50! Now's the time, folks. Now's the time. You bet. You bet.
Thank you, sponsors. Up next, we speak to the brains behind the Canadian Green Alliance, a non-for-profit organization that is devoted to bridging the gap between sustainability and theater. Speaking with Emily is Julia McClellan and Tess Benger.
Thank you so much both for joining me today to talk about the Canadian Green Alliance. Now, Julia McClellan was last seen on Rainbow Stage as Ariel in Footloose, if I'm correct.
Yes, a decade ago.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah. And Tess hasn't appeared on Rainbow Stage, but you were last in Winnipeg for Miss Bennett Christmas at Pemberley at Manitoba Theatre Centre. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you both so much for taking the time to chat with me.
A few years ago now, I happened to be in New York working on a show there.
If you're not saying we were on Broadway.
Okay, fine. I was on the B word, and if anyone's not familiar with the Broadway Green Alliance, American theater folk are lucky enough to have had a sort of 12-year-long alliance there in the Broadway community that's really amazing at providing resources and tools and just tips and tricks for the Broadway community to greenify their practices. And sort of their response to this process is having something called a green captain in each company, and I was Kinky Boots' green captain. So I got to really know the ropes of how the BGA worked. And as I was sort of going through that process, I started to think about what it might look like for Canada to have a similar program. And that's why we're called the Canadian Green Alliance, because we're very much inspired by the wonderful people at the BGA. But unlike New York, we don't sort of have this central hub in Canada where most of the large theater happens. We are really sort of spread out all across the country, and it's much more democratized that way. Right around that time that I was sort of starting to plan that out, Tess and I weren't really super close friends, but we knew of each other both as artists and as environmentalists. And we just started to have really late night, 2 a.m., 3 a.m. conversations about our climate dread, and how we were so frustrated with the lack of sort of urgency that the theater community had.
We are environmental consultants for the theater industry or the theater community. And a huge part of that is the Sustainable Theater Guidebook, which acts like a textbook or a guidebook for all of the theaters to just be working, like Julia said, working off the same thing and having a common vocabulary when it comes to approaching the climate crisis and incorporating it into their theatrical process. We want to create an industry where people don't need to leave their environmental values at the door.
We're environmental matchmakers in the theater industry, because the theater industry is made up of so many multidisciplines, that no one consultant could ever hope to be an expert on greenifying the hundreds really of practices that happen inside a theater industry. So as opposed to us being the first, middle, or last word on any of it, we're mostly just sort of oh, you have this issue, or you have this problem, or you have this barrier. Who can we help you find, connect with? What expert is out there that we can use our connections to mine for you to find that answer? We're not interested in duplicating work or doing any of this work alone. We're really the living room where everyone can pull up a chair and meet each other and hopefully get some of this work done faster. I think a lot of organizations and arts workers get really stressed out. Well, if I can't do it perfectly, I'm not going to try. And that really rolls into this sort of feeling of well, it's too big of a problem. How is my small contribution going to matter anyway? So I might as well not even bother. And what we are always kind of trying to impart on organizations when we're talking to them in these discovery calls that we have is that it's all kind of a moot point if you're thinking about it really granularly like that. You could green the entire theater industry to the most perfect degree, and it's not going to solve the climate crisis. So we have to evolve our thinking to a little bit of a higher standpoint than that. And we have to think, okay, what is it that artists do? And what is it that art has always done? And that's to sort of help the greater public take really complex and scary thoughts and sort of run them through an artistic lens so that they're more digestible and understandable. We're made for this moment. We're communicators of difficult truths. So we need to be centered in this conversation and really like helping people understand it through, you know, climate focused dramaturgy work, but also through our practices so that we then feel we're walking the walk and talking the talk, and we can take that message out and sort of like, you know, yell about it. The message of The Wizard of Oz is like, you don't need to go out and find something new. You've always had what you needed all along. Like there's so many story links to that beautiful sustainable design that like really make it richer and more interesting for the audience, whether they're perceiving that at a conscious or subconscious level.
I think people need to remember, like, by being part of this community and being a theater maker, part of the theater world in this country, like, you have a voice in this conversation. By being a human on the planet, you have a voice in the climate crisis conversation.
We're excited for it to grow as the community grows and as we all figure out better and more just ways to do things.
Well, thank you both so very much for, it's just so great to like hear you talk about the CGA, which I'm so excited about, and also just like feeling your passion through the screen for it is utterly wonderful. And thank you so much for sharing everything, and I hope our viewers at home will go check out the Canadian Green Alliance. Yeah, thank you.
For having us.
Thanks, Emily.
Wow, did I ever learn about those 5 R's? Reduce, reuse, recycle, and rainbow rhythms.
To learn about how you can become more environmentally friendly, to donate, or become a member of the Canadian Green Alliance, visit www.canadiangreenalliance.com.
And now we turn to our field correspondent, Quintana, for the weather.
It is hot. Ouch.
Sorry.
Joining us next are the undercover heroes behind every stage production, the people running their own show backstage, assisting in costume changes, set changes, and handing off props through the wings. And by wings, we don't mean the wings on those flying monkeys. Today, to learn about what happens further behind the curtain, we speak with the Wizard of Oz's stage management team, Michael Duggan, Katie Hoppa, and Katie Schmidt. Today, I am joined by some very special and very important people here at Rainbow Stage, especially behind the scenes of The Wizard of Oz. Stage management and assistant stage management, everyone behind the scenes that you don't see, like, the show would not go on without you.
Well, I preset all the props that get used, then backstage just assist in making sure everything's running smoothly, keeping an eye on tech stuff.
My job backstage, I'm on stage right, helping just coordinate set movements, and I also was working with the FOI team for all of our flying in the show.
My job during the show, on top of making sure everybody's here and everybody's on time, is make sure everything happens. That involves telling all the technicians when their cues are and watching the show to make sure that it generally happens as planned. There's always spontaneity and it's a live performance, but there's a plan of what is going to happen and what the sort of beats are every day.
Now, since you're the stage manager, do you work up in that booth during the show?
Yes, I go up to that booth and I have the most straightforward view of the house. I can see everything. It's from a far distance. There are 18 crew people backstage, and it takes a total of 72 people to run the show, including the cast. So it's a lot of coordination. And the fabulous Paul DeGurse runs a 15-piece orchestra as part of that 72.
Another interesting thing about this show is since the orchestra is not in the physical pit or on the stage, there's 2 screens above this way. There's a camera on Paul doing his thing, so the actors can see their cues from the music director up there. Is there a moment where you're really enjoying what you're doing, or you get to watch something that you really enjoy?
In our tornado at the beginning of the show, I just get to stand there and watch Megan come across on the bike every day. And then watch Sharon, our witch, go across. I just get to watch that every single day, and it's really cool.
Thank you so much. It was really interesting to learn about all of the stuff going on. So when you see the actors bow, they do a bow for themselves because they did a great job. But also you'll see them gesture, and where are they gesturing to? They're gesturing up to the booth to thank the wonderful stage management crew who have all done a wonderful, wonderful job to keep the show running, as well as to
the music director, who's done a wonderful job keeping the show afloat. So that's what, if you're ever wondering, that's what that gesture means. So make sure you clap a lot.
Wow.
Not all heroes wear capes.
Now let's check out what's happening at Rainbow HQ.
AKA Rainbow Stage Headquarters.
Oh God. Help!
We are soon reaching the end of this episode.
But don't turn off that screen just yet.
Because last but not least, we cap off this episode with the fantastic leads of The Wizard of Oz, Alyssa Crockett and Julia Davis.
We are here with Winnipeg's very own and wonderful Alyssa Crockett. Welcome.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Oh, we're so happy to have you. So, after almost being 3 years in the making, how does it feel to finally be on stage playing Dorothy?
It feels surreal and incredible and fantastic.
What are one of your favorite moments of The Wizard of Oz?
Either Munchkinland, because I love the reaction from the audience when people come on the rolly stools, and Jitterbug, because it's the only time that we all get to dance together, which is pretty awesome. You've waited for something for so long, and then when it's over, it's going to be tough, and I'm going to miss seeing everybody every day. Seeing the dome filled every night and the kids has just made like this whole thing worth it. It being my first time, I didn't really know what to expect with the puppeteering. The man that made the puppet Alex is so fantastic with his creation. I felt really supported throughout the entire process. I do like Toto in the Scarecrow song. He has some really cute moments where he kind of has some choreography and dance moves. I like with the dance.
Right, we are here with Toto. Hi, Toto. Can you shake a paw? Yeah.
Wow! It's a lot of hard work, but it's so rewarding. It was my first Rainbow stage show ever. It's just really cool to get to see like behind the magic, because like it's just so lovable and it's such a staple of Winnipeg. So it's been really cool.
And now we are gonna head back to HQ, so here we go.
Wow, Robin, that was totally awesome.
Woof, woof. To learn more about Rainbow Stage and how to get involved in their next season, visit them at www.rainbowstage.ca or follow them on all their social medias at Rainbow Stage.
And that seems to be all the time we have for today, folks.
If you like what you saw, make sure you hit that like button.
And don't forget to subscribe.
Please join us next episode where we sit down with the cast of Grease and Hairspray to vote who wins the crown for Best Hair.
Until next time,
I'm Robin Quintana.
And I'm Emily Meadows.
And this is
Rainbow Rhythms.
Thanks for coming along. We'll see you back here before too long. Rainbow Rhythms.